The U.S. and Iran has failed to come up with a peace deal. This is
21
Vice
hours,
President J.D. Vance
and
speaking.
we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms. Questions?
Sir, Nick Robertson from CNN. Precisely what?
Wow. That's not good, man. I just want this thing to end. Now, do I believe it? Yes, I feel like it was necessary that we took out the Ayatollah and brought this evil regime to an end. Well, now we did wound the new Ayatollah, which we almost got a two for this war, war operation. Sorry, but we'll keep doing. I swear, we'll keep doing this till there ain't no more Ayatollahs left. But I do feel like I'm like kind of 50-50 on this, cuz like I feel like Iran is a threat to America. We don't want them to build nuclear warfare. They've been oppressing their own people been just a problem for 40 plus years, for decades. So I feel like necessary, yes, a little bit, but on the other hand, it's like, ugh, I don't like that we're sending troops to, possibly die. You know what I mean?
What have they rejected here? Can you help us understand it a little bit?
Well, I won't go into all the details because I don't want to negotiate in public after we negotiated for 21 hours in private. But the simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon. And
Yes, that was one of the things was no nukes. Trust me, you do not want Iran having nukes.
That would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. That is the core goal of the President of the United States, and that's what we've tried to achieve through these negotiations. Again, their nuclear programs.
I hear sirens. I was like, and I paused the video and they're still there. I don't know if you can hear them, but they're chasing somebody, I think. I don't know. Or it's an ambulance. I don't know. I don't know. Interesting. But yeah, that's the idea of the first time that President Trump struck Iran. They're like, we're gonna get you where you're building your things, and because we're not gonna let this happen, and we'll never let Iran have nukes. Never.
Such as it is,
Certainly not as long as Trump's
communication with the team, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on, and we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
At least as long as Trump's in office.
Questions?
Sir, Nick Robertson from CNN. Precisely what have they rejected here? Can you help us understand it a little bit?
Well, I won't go into all the details because I don't want to negotiate in public after we negotiated for 21 hours in private. But the simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon, and they will not seek the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. That is the core goal of the President of the United States, and that's what we've tried to achieve through these negotiations. Again, their nuclear program, such as it is, the enrichment facilities that they had before, they've been destroyed. But the simple question is, do we see a fundamental commitment of will for the Iranians not to develop a nuclear weapon, not just now, not just 2 years from now, but for the long term? We haven't seen that yet. We hope that we will. Jen.
Was there a framework on anything? And also, did the Iranian frozen assets come up, and did you reach any conclusions on those frozen assets?
We talked about all those issues, Jen, and we talked about a number of issues beyond that. And so certainly those things came up. But again, we just could not get to a situation where the Iranians were willing to accept our terms. I think that we were quite flexible. We were quite accommodating. The president told us, you need to come here in good faith and make your best effort to get a deal. We did that. And unfortunately, we weren't able to make
Tried,
Preston.
but they just won't
Vice President,
won't
how
give
often did you
in.
communicate with President Trump throughout the negotiations? There were reports that there were multiple rounds where there were breaks in between negotiations. How often did you communicate with the president throughout those rounds, and what was he saying as you were going through these negotiations that you said fell short?
Yeah, obviously we were talking to the president consistently. I don't know how many times we talked to him, a half dozen times, a dozen times over the past 21 hours. We obviously also talked to Admiral Cooper, to Pete, to Marco, to the entire national security team. We talked to Scott Besson a number of times. So look, we were constantly in communication with the team because we were negotiating in good faith. And we leave here with a very simple proposal, a method of understanding that is our final and best offer. We'll see if the Iranians accept it.
Well, that was something. Yeah, let's read. Shocked. I tell you, I'm shocked. Unfortunately, yeah, no, I'm not terribly shocked that, yeah, the ceasefire has gone the way we thought it would. Yeah, and look, the Iranians, they're not the easiest to deal with. Nobody, okay, so it's like, you know, when he repeats, we're negotiating in good faith 4 times. No, look, I don't know. It was just, well, look, I mean, we got to do something, because I also want this war to, or operation to conclude. I no more troops dying. That's the objective here. So, but in order to get there, we have to do something. We got, nobody is going to, back down. Unfortunately, nobody's going to be like, okay, at least for the near future. People are being like, oh, this is Iraq 2.0. I don't know. I hope it's not, but we'll see. I'll keep you posted. Yeah. I know this is posted on my main channel just because it's, it has a little more traction than my other channel. Just so I can get some views. Just because this is important, man. This is our lives, man. And I'm like telling you, I hope it doesn't actually affect us in the way that that we are actually impacted, but still. Yeah, I guess I'll keep you guys posted. And I know this is definitely not the most joyous video I've ever done in the world, but if you can hit that subscribe button and check out my other channel, then there's a lot more content that is definitely much brighter than this. And I'll see you later.